Hey everybody, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and another episode of the Indie Show where Jason finally reads indie comics because he's not been very smart and hasn't read very many of them. But I'm fixing that, and tonight we are talking Canto Volume 1. And as you guys know, I've tried to have a lot of really good people. I've been very lucky in getting a bunch of really good people to join me for these indie shows to talk about these stories. But tonight, I think I hit a home run. I got the best people around to join me to talk Canto. And first up, we got Kate and Charlie from John's Comics with Kids. What's going on, girls?
Quarantine. It's boring, but we've been reading a lot of books, so that's good, right?
There you go. Getting a lot of reading in. So are you guys excited?
Very excited.
All right. Well, they are going to be joined by someone who just hit 900 subs on his YouTube channel. He's probably going to blow by me very quickly. And that is Burning Block About 99. Kate, what's going on, man?
Oh, hey. How's it going?
It is going good. How are you?
I am good. Thank you. Just hit 900. I'm very happy in my corner over here. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so you guys are all back in school, but at home. So I'm glad, though, that we're going to get to read something that's a little bit fun, and we'll get to talk about this. I'm going to shout out the chat, and then we will dig into this story real quick. So let's see who we got. We had Backseat Driver, Tailgating Early. There's some John guy that's in the chat. I don't know. You girls know who that guy is?
Who's he?
No, not really. Okay.
He's living in our house.
Yeah, well, you know, let that guy just hang around sometimes. Ty Christian, what's going on? Life with YouTubers. That's another channel. That seems
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, vaguely familiar. I'm not sure exactly who that is. Okay, Kid Comics, Kate's channel. Who is Kate? One of my two best moderators. Kate and Charlie are my two best moderators. So the links for you guys. So Kate has his own channel, Burning Block About 99. The link is in the description, and I think John dropped it in the chat at some point. You guys are part of a combined channel with Kate's sister Rena and Tacoma Comics' son, and I don't remember his name right off the bat. Nathaniel. You guys call Crazy Click Radio, and then Kate and Charlie both have their own channels. Kate's channel is Kate Kid Comics Inc. So check out their channels. Kate doesn't have any content yet, but I'm sure she'll have some soon.
Mine's just Charlie Jameson.
Yours is just Charlie Jameson. That's okay. You'll get it. Hey, mine was Jason P for like a year and a half before I started making stuff. So there you go. So we got Downright Nerdy Podcast in the chat. What's going on, dude? There's Rena. What's going on? Comic Man Andy, who I know loves this story. Thank you for joining us, Andy. Kurt Brown, what's going on? That seems like a familiar name, possibly. So, all right, that's everyone I see so far. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. So we're going to dig into this. I will say I was late. JP was late to the party on Canto. He'd heard great things. I just read it about 2 weeks ago for the first time. So I want to ask you guys right off the bat. I think Kate and Charlie, your dad probably introduced you to this fairly early. Did you guys read the original issues, or did you wait for the trade to read this?
I'm pretty sure we read the first few issues, but I think we waited a little bit to get the trade. I'm not sure. I think we did the first few issues, but then we waited for the trade.
Then you waited for the trade. Now, Kate, before we decided to do this, had you read this story?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So you read it before we talked about doing it for the show?
No. Oh, no. We picked it up after we talked about doing the show.
Okay. So your introduction was, hey, let's do this show. Okay. So what were your guys'? I'll start with Kate and Charlie, and we'll start with Miss Charlie. What was your first impression of this, Charlie? What would you think when you first started reading it?
At first I was confused how they can still live with clocks instead of hearts. That really, really confused me. And when I first read it, I thought it was really interesting. And I was really confused if they were robots or if they were like real living people with feelings. Yeah,
I would agree with that. Like I will say I finished the first volume. I'm still not 100% sure exactly what kind of being, I guess. I won't say creature because they're people, but they're very, yeah, the fact that they can survive with, and they're not very clear exactly their nature other than they can survive with clocks instead of hearts, which is a very interesting take. What about you, Kate? What was your first impression of this?
I didn't really like it at the beginning. I think I just skimmed it too fast the first time I first read it. And then I think I started getting more interested in it. I think that it's a really nice story, and I like how his love is like so unique, and it's his inspiration and motivation for the whole, it shapes the whole story.
Yes.
And I really like how like he's so different from all of them. He loves and he has a name. He was willing to give his own heart to his love, but his love is her, and now he has to find a heart for her. It's just a really cool story.
Yeah. So I will tell everyone as a reminder, when we do these indie shows, we do full spoilers. So we will be getting into spoilers as we go. So if you've not read it and you don't want spoilers, I suggest you go read it and come back and watch this on the rewind later. We had a couple more people join us. No Good Comics is in the house. Warlord. And where did Carlito go? Carlito, who hit me up with an awesome AOK earlier. Thank you, Carlito. Kate, what about you? What was your first impression when you started digging into this?
Okay, so first page right off the bat, I was like, wow, this artwork detail is amazing. I was like, they put so much time into each panel. And then I just think that the story at first was really good, how they were telling two stories at once, and how Canto wants to like donate his heart to his love to save her, and he goes on the adventure to do it. It's just really cool right off the bat, and it kept me reading. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Just first panels right off the bat, I was like, wow, this is really nice.
Hey, Dennis, what's going on? So Cade brought up the art, and I always love, like, the art for me is one of my favorite things about comics. Like, if a book has great art and the story is just so, I'm okay. If the story is okay, but the art is bad, I can't read it. So I'm big into the art, and I will say, like, it's a very unique style. I feel like it's not a style I see very often, but it fits what the story they're telling so well. We'll start with Kate this time. What do you think of the art? What is, what grabbed you about the art? What do you like about it as you go through this?
Well, I was looking at it and I was reading it the first time, and I was like, this would look so amazing in claymation. Like, I can totally imagine it as a movie.
Oh, that would be cool.
And just looking at the art, like, the colors are vibrant, which is perfect, and in some parts they're dark, and it works. Like, and I think that it's just, I've never seen an art style like this before, and I think it's like very fairy tale-esque. And I love it. It's so cool.
Yeah. I would agree with that. It is a fairy tale-esque, and then the claymation one's something I hadn't thought about, but it would fit, like, the little, like, the way these guys move and stuff. I love how all of Canto's people, like, how they're kind of lit from within, like the glow that comes out of them, almost like they have a furnace inside of them. Like, it is I just think it's a very cool design for their characters. Yeah, so that was not something I had thought about. And the colors, like, a lot of it is kind of dark, but yet there's enough bright and vibrant. So I would agree with you on a lot of that, Kate. What about you, Charlie? What do you think of the art?
I mean, I like it, but the problem I have with most books is they make the cover, like, really pretty. And then on the inside, and it's not like it's kind of quite how the cover looks. That tends to happen with me a lot with books. I see the cover and I'm like, oh, it looks really pretty. It's probably how the inside will look. Then I read the inside and it looks nothing like the cover.
Yeah, I would say this is, that is a problem with comics in general. I would say is that there's a lot of focus on the outside and not the inside on the art, I think, more now than there used to be. I will say this one I feel like isn't as bad as most, but it definitely is not as finished. Like, the style is definitely not as finished on the inside as it is on the cover, and that's just the nature of the way they do covers anymore, unfortunately, I think. But I do think there are some definitely amazing panels that are almost cover worthy in here. It's particularly some of these splash pages. I'm going to show like one just real quick, and let me make myself just to show off an early splash page where when he's leaving, made the decision. Like some of those, I think, are definitely where they bring the standard up even within the book as opposed to some of the other panels. What about you, Kay? What do you think of the art?
The art is really well done, and I think the way they did the lighting just ambiently made it look really nice. The only issue I had with it is that they used art to tell the story a lot, which was kind of rushed. Because, like, there's a couple parts where he's adventuring, and it only takes up one page because it's just a picture compilation of each of the places he's been to. Now, don't get me wrong, the art is amazing, but I feel like they could have at least put a little dialogue or issue in there or something so that it was kind of filler and it lasted longer. So that's what I think about that, yeah.
I think that's an interesting story point I was going to get to later, but since you brought it up, I want to talk about that. We get, like, he goes from, and obviously he's in a rush, like, because she only has so much time, and he's trying to get her heart and save her. But they do move, like, he goes from escaping slavery to start this adventure to facing the big bad in just a couple of issues. Like, he covers a lot of ground, and there are several panels and pages like what Kate's talking about. Let me find the like this one here, where it's like there's a whole lot of story that we just skim over in terms of like what he's doing and where he's going as he's trying to get, in this case, to the lake. That, yeah, we just kind of move right on past. It's because they're moving really quick. Some John guy is talking about the art has a grim fairy tale, dark style, Tim Burton sort of thing. I don't know. So, and I would agree. It is. I do like, it's a very dark interpretation, and yet it's got those splashes of color that really make it work for me. And here's another panel where they're like covering lots of ground, like what Kate's talking about, like a whole page, and it's like, oh, we're gonna skim over all of that. What else do you guys like? Is there any other panels that you really like, or anything you guys want to show before we dig more into the story? Okay, what do you got? Charlie, you want to go first?
No, let's go Kate this time.
I don't
Kate
have
first?
it.
Okay.
My favorite variant cover is the one that's like.
Yeah. The cover's at the back.
I can pick it up. Oh, okay.
Is it not in the book?
It is, but
It is,
we have it
but
right here. So.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Hang on, let me make it big. Oh, that is cool. That's issue 2?
Yes, I think it is.
And that is art by Morgan Beam. I don't know that I know. I've recognized that name. That's very cool.
Really do like that cover though. I think
Yeah.
like the little bits of cover with the all white background looks really, really good.
Yeah, that is definitely like a little bit of a watercolor kind of.
Can I have the book?
All right. What about you, Charlie? What's some of your favorite? Well, if we're doing covers, you got a favorite cover?
I really liked this one. I like these two. This one. Okay.
Yeah. Come up.
I like this one.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And then I really liked this one. It's like a Ninja Turtle.
Oh, the new one, the one to the new book, yeah, that just came out. That is a good one too. Where is the one? There's one there behind you. I really like. Did I actually see that one? The first one you showed was, it doesn't say which issue, but that Roberta and Grata. I don't know her either, but interesting. And then I don't know who did the homage cover, but I will say, like, I mean, go back to us as a group. Like, of like the covers in the back, I really like this one where like he's facing down the giant octopus or squid. That's a really good one. And then the other one I really enjoy is, even though it's a little bit sad, him with the broken clock. I think that's a really good one as well. What about you, Kate? Did you have a cover that, like, at the back or in as you were flipping through the issues that you really liked?
Yes, I do. I really like this cover right here. I just think that the lightning looks pretty cool, and the floating island is really nice. And he just looks so menacing and like, I'm gonna get you in this photo, and it just looks really good. It sets the mood really well. So yeah, I really like that cover.
Nice. So, like, I will say, just as we get back talking a little bit more about the art before we dig into the story, like, I will say, like, because Cade, you guys talked a little bit, Charlie talked a little bit about, like, some of the panels weren't quite as good, but, like, I want to show a few of the splash pages if I can find them, because there's some splash pages in this that I think are just spectacular. If I can find the right page. Nope, that's not far enough yet. Sorry. I'm looking. This one, where he's facing the shrouded man, I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And then before we started, you guys talked about the end, the last panel of this first volume as being, let me make myself bigger again, as being one you guys really liked. But yeah, I think the art really shines on those bigger, more epic panels, I think, sometimes than it does in some of the smaller stuff. But there is a lot of really good small panels as well. Like, they show a lot of emotion in Canto, even though he's this little mechanical dude. There's a lot with the eyes. They do a really good job of showing his emotions with the eye. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we keep moving here?
I had something.
Yeah, go ahead, Charlie.
I had a scene that I really liked.
Okay.
It was this scene with, like, the guards when they're trying to get into the
city.
The
giants? Yeah.
They made me laugh a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were the giants basically trick themselves into letting them in? Or they trick the giants into letting them in? That is a really cool scene, and it's really well done. And that is where they meet one of the other characters that becomes important to the story. So let's talk a little bit about some of the characters. So first of all, our main character is Canto, who we talked about a little bit. He's a member of this race of sort of clockwork people, because they take their heart and they replace it with a clock when they're born, and that they're all enslaved, and he's the only one with a name, because his love has given him a name. But when he ventures out, we meet some other characters. We meet the hermit. We meet Allura, which we don't find out the name till the end. We meet his, what are these called? The Malatrax? What are Malarax is friends. So what do you guys think of, like, the cast of characters in this story? This time we'll start with Cade. What do you think of, like, the cast of characters we meet along the way?
They all definitely have their own personality that you can get along with a lot. Like the Malarax is kind of like a cute dog, so you can love him because he's very much so like a pet. So you're like, oh, he's cute. I think that you can relate with Canto because he wants to save somebody. He has empathy for them. He's like, I gotta save them, and I will do anything to do so. And then I like Allura because she wants to help Canto in his adventure and, like, doesn't hesitate to help him. And all the characters are just really nice. I mean, like, even the trolls at the gate, they only get a few pages, and you're just like, I understand their personality, and you want to see more of them.
Yeah.
So they definitely did a great job on making the characters who they are.
Now, do you have a favorite character in this, Cade? Who's your... is there a character that stood out to you more than the others?
Allura, probably.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't really show Allura. So Allura is the one that helps Canto kind of get into the city, tricks the guard. and actually helped him get to the Shrouded Man. And there is, John talked about it in the chat. There's a great sequence with her and Canto, and I'm going to mispronounce the name, the Malarax again, fighting the Harpies. And this goes on for several pages. It's a really great battle sequence that they lay out in here. And we get to see her fight. And she's basically a member of another race that's been enslaved by this guy who's also trying to get her freedom. So, yeah, it's a really cool sequence, and she is definitely an excellent character. What about I think it's Charlie's turn to go first amongst the girls. What about you, Charlie? What do you think of the cast of characters in this?
I guess I kind of liked them. Some of them was kind of like,
Yeah.
Some of them I couldn't tell if they were a boy or a girl.
Right. They don't do a very good job of names in this. They don't really you don't get Allura's name till the very end. You don't really get a name for the hermit. Yeah, there's not a lot of names in this. So
there is Elder, which has two, but the rest of the little Cantos don't have names.
Right.
If I had to pick a favorite character, I would pick Allura's pet, Zixia.
Oh, the dragon.
It's its species. It's not its name, though.
Yeah, the Zixia, kind of like a phoenix dragon type.
I felt like it kind of looked like a slaver a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. He's kind of got that. So there, when he changes size and during the battle, and because he goes from little bitty to big enough to carry Canto to the thing, and he's kind of an interesting creature. I'm not sure.
Yeah, when I read that part, I was like, you're small when that bird can carry you.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure if the bird can change his size a little bit, which I think he has to because he's really small when we first see him. And because when he's sitting on her shoulders, he's not very big. So I think he can change the size. I'm not sure, but he's kind of a dragon type creature of some sort. Definitely a cooler character. What about you, Kate? What did you think of this cast of characters?
My favorite character is probably the Malarax because he's just so lovable. And I think that his love, she doesn't really have a big part now, but I think she is his inspiration. So she's also one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
She's the one who inspires him. She's the one who motivates him. She's the one who the story is shaped around. She's a big part of the story. She's not really awake for most of it, but she's still a very big part of the story. And I feel like she will have some more talking scenes later in the book. So.
I think you're probably right as they tell this because she is really his motivation. So I think we're going to continue to get the little scenes that we got throughout this of him recanting their conversations in his mind. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be, I would be surprised if that's not an ongoing thing. For me, my favorite character is also the Malarax. I love the interaction between him and Canto. I love the whole thing of Canto's you understand more than you're letting about what I'm saying, even if you're not going to do what I tell you. I think that's a really cool interaction. I really enjoy that part of the characters. That's my favorite character. Probably pretty easily. I really like the other cast of characters, Allura, and I think they're all have benefits, but the Malarax is my favorite without a doubt. All right, so let's dig into this story a little bit of the actual details of the story. What do you guys think? What are your overall? Let's just big picture thoughts of this whole thing. What did you guys think? Let's go back. We'll start back with Kate, and you can. What did you think of this?
Well, I was just looking at the cover a few minutes ago, and I kind of was looking at the little gold heart that he always carries around. That was her favorite stuff. I feel like that's going to be important. I don't know why I might be wrong, but like at the end, he like basically at the end he goes to the hermit, right? And the hermit's like, this quest was in vain, and he's like, this was like, there's no heart or something. He says something like that, I think. And then
when you're talking to the elder that he didn't like, that he was unable to save her, or when he goes into the woods, are you talking about?
I think I'm talking about like right at the end when he's talking to the guy, like the knight, and he like battles him.
The shrouded man.
Oh, the bad guy. The bad guy. Yeah. The shrouded man.
The shrouded man. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I feel like if there is ending up to being no heart, that might be something to do with it. Like maybe that little golden heart could be the heart. Like maybe, I don't know. That's what I was thinking. But
because it just happens to be shaped like a heart.
A heart.
And it's her favorite.
It's her favorite. Yeah, there's a lot of like little clues, I guess. But so thank you, Delphia. But so I think that the story is just really cool. The story basically is shaped around this little guy who looks like kind of like a knight mixed with a furnace almost.
Yeah.
He is basically part of this race that is a group of slaves, and they are slaved, and they're not allowed to have names, they're not allowed to be in love or have feelings or anything, and he falls in love, and then his love gets hurt and is dying, and then he has to go on a quest to save her and give her a heart, basically. That's the story.
Yeah. So what did you, before we move on to the other two, what did you think of the story? Did you enjoy it? Did you like what were you disappointed? I guess I'm trying to get a little deeper here because his quest fails. Like, as we go through this. So what did you think about the fact that he goes on this quest to save his love and he fails, and yet there's this other outcome that actually in some ways makes his quest a success in a different way because he inspires his people to gather free. So what did you think of this overall story arc, the way this was told? And, because at the end they're hailing him as a hero, and yet he doesn't feel like a hero. So what do you think about the way they went with this story?
I think that Canto didn't fail, like you said, JP, but like in the end, he met Allura. He basically tamed the Malarex. He's like, that's one of his best friends right now. And I think that he didn't fail because he got all these friends. He inspired his people. He did all these amazing things. He might not have saved her, but I think he can still find a way to save her. Like,
right.
There's a lot of metamorphosis, I guess. And he sort of, his quest is based on her, but then it slowly changes into other people. Like there's more people joining into the quest. I just think it's really cool. And I want to see where it goes.
What about you, Charlie? What did you think of this story? As you got to the end, what were your impressions of the story and how it went?
Well, first of all, spoiler alert, he inspires his people so much that they all start taming Malarex, and they all start writing them in the next one. So
yeah, like we see that at the end. Like he's not the only one that has a Malarex by the end of it.
And I guess kind of like Kate said, I don't understand why they would bring in a character that's clearly important to him and then make them die.
Right.
So there seems like there's going to be something that has to do with this. And Allura seems very suspicious. Like there's something about her that I really don't get. She really makes me not really understand. She just really has this thing that when I look at her, I think like a spy.
Okay.
I feel like there's something's gonna happen with her. And the Malarex, I mean, like you guys said, he's a lot like a dog. And I feel like if you split Canto, like if you put Canto and Malarex apart, like they're so connected that the Malarex would do anything to get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, to have Canto right back at his side. So I think overall, the story is a lot about Canto finding, like losing someone, but then finding something even better.
I would agree with that. And, you know, I think that's an interesting thing that you pointed out, the allure thing, because she shows up very conveniently as they're trying to get into the city and helps him get in and helps him face the shrouded man who knows he's coming. Now, maybe that's just because the shrouded man clearly has abilities. Maybe he knew anyway. But there is definitely like some questions about where everyone's loyalties lie to a certain degree.
Why? What was she doing when she said, like, stay here, I won't be long? What was she doing?
Right. And when she comes back,
I thought she said I won't be long, and then she took like a day.
yeah.
And I thought at first she was going to trade something. And then my thought was that she went in there and then went out the back door, or like had her little guy fly up and go tell the shrouded man what was going on.
Yeah.
Because
that's potential. I mean, I think there's something there, because she tells him to wait, and he waits and waits and waits and waits. And then the instant she comes back, the harpies, or I guess that's what they refer to them as. I forget now, but
I think they're the Furies thing.
Yeah, the Furies. That you're correct. The Furies. That work for the shrouded man show up immediately, like, and so
she happens to come out and destroy them.
Yeah,
like they would go away. Like, how'd she even know that was happening?
That's a good question. So we don't know yet. So that's good. What about you, Kay? What do you think of it? What did you think of the overall story and just kind of your impression of what's going on and what's happening and Canto's journey here in the first volume?
In general, it's a good story idea. I think they executed it just a little but it definitely has great potential, and they did a pretty good job of telling a good story. And there are a couple of things where I'm like, uh-oh, because of course there's lots of Easter eggs and stuff, and they want you to love a character. Like, I think it's really depressing that his love dies, but I think it made that him inspiring his people makes up for that a little bit. So it's not a complete loss, but it still sucks. But I definitely think that if his love died, I feel like others are going to sacrifice themselves. I have a huge suspicion that the Malarex is going to sacrifice himself. And I'm like, don't do
it. If the Malarex dies, Keisha's going to quit reading this.
Walks.
No, sorry, keep going. I'm sorry I interrupted.
You're good.
The Malarex with like one drop of blood coming from the Malarex, and Keisha's be like, nope, goodbye.
That's so true.
Although I think they'll find a way to bring his love back, because like you said, they're like a knight and they're a furnace, and they seem more electronic in that sense. And it's a very mystical story, and there's lots of fairy tale stuff thrown in there, lots of magic. So I feel like they didn't just kill her off without a purpose. Maybe she'll come back and maybe be evil if she's revived, and then he has to convince her to not be evil. I don't know. There's so many ways they could turn and twist the story around. It just definitely makes me want to read more. So they did a very good job of foreshadowing different events that could happen in the timeline. Yeah. And I really like that detail.
So I will say, I will disagree with you guys. I don't think they're going to bring her back, but I do think she's going to serve as his touchstone and his inspiration throughout the rest of the story.
Motivating.
I do think, like, ultimately, you guys talk about that you think there'll be more sacrifices. I think ultimately the end of the story is probably Canto is the one that ends up sacrificing himself for his people. But I think it was a very interestingly story because you have the dual stories, and I'll ask you guys a little bit about this because you have the dual story that's kind of his inspiration is the story of the night, and that like the only story his people remember, and this night that's saved his princess, which is what kind of inspires him to go. And at the end of it, the shrouded man is at least presents himself as that knight from the story, and that he failed his journey, and he's basically telling Canto he's also failed. So what do you guys think about the story the shrouded man tells Canto? Is he the knight? Is he being honest with him? And how much of that is being honest? Because the hermit tells him, he's like, he'll tell you lies first before he tells you the truth. So what do you think? What do you think of the shrouded man and his story about being the knight and that he failed and that's why he's doing what he's doing? Go ahead, Charlie.
I think it makes sense that he would be the knight because it tends to happen in a lot of stories. The good guy will fail and then he will turn bad.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's probably true because but the only problem I have is you never see the shrouded man's face.
Right.
So you don't know if that's really true. You can't tell if that's actually happening. But then there's also the same thing that the little Cantos, you don't see their faces, but they have eyes like normal people.
Right.
So do they have like faces underneath?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Because it shows in the beginning that they had like hearts and then they took them out and added in clocks. So if they add in the clocks, wouldn't that mean the rest of their body would have to be electrical?
Yeah, so maybe
that
just
if they-
their head is human or something. Creepy.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Well, they're definitely, because like if you look at his arm, like it is, like if you look in here, like the shoulder to his forearm is very much robot-like.
Yeah, like bolted
So
in.
how much are they truly mechanical creatures versus
like real.
flesh? And like we get that they have a heart and it's clearly taken from them and replaced with a clock. So yeah, there is definitely some interest in the true nature of Canto's people, whatever, and how they actually function.
I don't think you ever know like what their species is called. I just call them little Cantos. Because they technically all look the same except for their eye color, and they have like all these little like colors around on their body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about you, Kate? What do you think of the shrouded man's story and what he's telling Canto at the end?
I was thinking of him almost as like the boggart from Harry Potter. Like how when you stand in front of it, it changes to something something familiar, or something you hate, something you like. I don't know. Like I was thinking maybe he's a shapeshifter that's just trying to bring Canto down to make him feel like there's no hope. But maybe he's speaking in code. Maybe he's just trying to be mean, or maybe he's actually telling the truth. I do think he's some sort of person that's shape-shifting, because wasn't he trapped in all that stone and everything? And then, yeah, he came out. Maybe he trapped himself back in stone every time someone leaves and changes into the thing they fear or they like. Something like a role model, maybe, so they believe them more. So I was thinking maybe some sort of like shapeshifter, boggart kind of thing.
Interesting. Hadn't thought about that necessarily. He's clearly got some kind of abilities that, are beyond that of a knight necessarily. He's become more than what he was. What about you, Cade? What do you think of our villain of the tale, the shrouded man, and what his story is?
I have a theory about him. Again, this book is very magic-y, so anything could happen, especially since it's a fictional world. And my theory is that the shrouded man is actually the embodiment of the sadness and sorrow that the knight experienced when he failed his quest. So it's not actually the knight, but it's an embodiment, like a physical embodiment of his failure and all the bad parts about him, who kind of just took over. and got into power. I don't know how he'd get into power, but like I feel like he's a doppelganger, an apparition of all the sorrow that the knight experienced, and he wants to pass on that sorrow to other adventurers so that they feel the same way and maybe create more of these weird sorrow boys. So I guess we'll have to see, but that's my theory.
Okay, that's interesting. That's not a thought I necessarily had, but I like it. I like that. That's an interesting take on. He's not really the guy, but he is like sort of created from the knight and his, and his failure. So I think we talked about this a little bit at the beginning. The Canto wasn't this. He didn't fail, in your guys' opinion. But obviously, like he sort of feels like he failed, even though he inspired his people, because he didn't save her. And of course, the shrouded man tells him he's a failure. That he feels like he failed. They're calling him a hero. He's not sure about it. So, what do you guys think about like where Canto goes from here? What do you want to see in these later volumes? Where do you want to see this go?
I feel like obviously the shrouded man's gonna say Canto's a failure.
Yeah,
that makes sense. But if I had to pick where the book would go, I really want it to go where his love comes back. So in fact, she really motivated him. But then there's also this problem: if she does come back, then his motivation, like, it won't happen anymore because he'll be glad that she's back. So he won't want to risk anything. He'll just want to be with her and won't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
But I also think that she might come back because they just happened to find the perfect gold piece that was her favorite, and that it was gold.
yeah.
And it was on the day that she died.
And it was shaped in a heart, right?
And it was shaped in a heart.
Yeah.
So I feel like the way I would want it to go is that Allura betrays him. The Malarex tries to risk his life for Canto. And then while doing that, the Malarex gets split up from Canto. And then the Malarex finds someone to do something for Canto, and then they get his love back.
Okay.
That's how I want it to go.
Yeah. What about you, Kate? Where do you see this going, or want to see this kind of go?
I do want his love to come back maybe after the next trade, because like all the adventures he goes on in this book are, in one word, like epic. They are so cool. All the stuff he tames something, he goes inside the stomach of a giant squid, and then like he gets trained by one of his slavers, and I really want another trade full of all this adventures, and maybe at the end it'll be like he finds her, like, and you can see her silhouette almost, and he's like looking at her, like maybe that could be like the last panel. That would be really cool. And I was just looking at the name of the book and the trade, and it's If I Only Had a Heart. Isn't that one of the songs that the Scarecrow sings in Wizard of Oz?
Well, and I don't know did you guys read the foreword where they talk about that they were inspired by, or like a lot of this was inspired by the Wizard of Oz, and so they talk about that a little bit, that like, and I shall take the heart. The woodsman was the one that asked for the heart. The brains do not make one happy, and happiness is the best thing in the world. So it's the woodsman that wanted the heart. But yeah, so they quote the Wizard of Oz, and they talk a little bit somewhere. I don't know if it's I thought it was in like the little bit at the beginning or something, or maybe I was reading something else associated with this where he talks about taking inspiration from the Wizard of Oz. Oh, it's at the back. It's at the back. So at the little Wonder Tales thing, is where he talks about the Wizard of Oz. The writer does.
And I feel like this city like has a Wizard of Oz, like the Emerald City kind of tinge. If you look, it's like there's like the giant spire in the background. It's slightly green, and like there's all these different little cabins. I'm
No.
also calling them cabins. But so there's like a statue that's green, and there's just it's huge, and it's full of all these different people. Like just how there was like a color changing horse in the Wizard of Oz. There's like all these different colored people, and like there's pink people, there's blue people, there's all colors people. It's just really, now that you say it, like it does remind me of that.
No. So what about you, Kay? Where do you want to see this go? So, or where do you think it's going? Maybe you said a little bit of your theory earlier, but
I think I'm gonna start with the Alora.
no.
I don't think she'll betray him, but I think that she'll have something to do with one of the new issues that comes up. Because, I mean, Canto's people are all very civil and they're very timid, right? But why do I feel like her people, which you never get to see, are actually all pretty aggressive? And she ran away from them and was like, no, I'm not going to be aggressive. So why do I feel like that her people will be an issue in the future? And it'll be her fault. And so will feel all betrayed and stuff. And
so what I want to see is I kind of want more of this. I want more, like, obviously I'm curious to see how Canto is now being looked to as a leader amongst his people, how he embraces that, because he didn't really think of himself as a leader. Like he just was out to save his love, and like now he's become a leader of his people just because of that. And I'm curious to see how that goes, how he continues to evolve as a character, because he's clearly no match for his villain at this point in the story. So I'm just curious to see where they go. I want more adventure. It reminds me of The Wizard of Oz and a lot of stories I read as a kid, like the adventure kind of stuff. I really enjoyed it. So before we wrap this up, you guys got any final thoughts about this that you haven't got a chance to talk about, that you want to share your thoughts on Canto? And this time I'm going to start back with Cade, and then I'll go back to the girls. So Cade, what about you? What are your final thoughts?
I liked chapter 4. That was pretty cool, or issue number 4.
Oh, we didn't normally we do that. Well, let's do that before we go into thing. What was your favorite issue of the trade? What was so yours was issue 4?
Mm-hmm.
And that, I'm trying to remember, that was the battle with the Furies, right? No, the Furies was issue 5. So that issue 4 was them getting into the town, him meeting Allura, the Giants. That was all in issue 4. Okay.
Yeah, I think the Giants was just the best part about that. So,
no. What about you, Kate? What was your favorite issue in this?
I really liked the first issue. The introduction, it's really cool. The way they introduce it with the prince or the knight, and with Canto and with the slavers and the love. It's just, there's a lot of action in that one first issue. It's really cool. And my overall review of it is probably a step down from amazing, probably like pretty good. And I do agree with Sharon, like there should be more dialogue. There is a lot of art, and the art is really good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's really good art, but there should be more just talking in general. But I really liked it, maybe 4.5 stars out of 5.
Okay. All right. Well, let's circle back to Kate, and then I'll get Charlie's favorite chapter and her final review. What about your final review? Like, where would you rank this? And Kate?
The artwork was great. They did a really great job. The story's potential was pretty cool, but I feel like their execution on that was, like Kate said, a step down from amazing. So I'd definitely give it like an 8 out of 10 if we're going out of 10, and I'd probably give it a 3.5 if we're going out of 5.
Instead of 4? Would 4 be 8 out of 10?
Well, I'm just doing 2.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
2 independently. Okay, that's okay. So, all right. So, not quite, you didn't like quite as much as Kate, but you still liked it. So that's, yeah. All right, Charlie, what about you? What was your favorite issue, and then your favorite, and what your final ranking is on this?
My favorite issue was like Cade, issue 4. because I really like the guards. They're my favorite. I guess if I had to rate it out of 10, I would give it about an 8 or
Okay.
9. And I would recommend it to probably any age.
Yeah, any age is good for it.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I think so.
there's not that much
There's not
blood,
that much,
killing,
like,
curse words.
Yeah, violence. There's not too much violence. There's no curse words, I don't think.
And it has a lot of potential.
Only
Yeah.
about 1 person dies, or like 2, maybe 3 die in the whole book.
Yeah.
And they have no blood in any of those parts.
Yeah, so it's a really kid-friendly little book.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. This is definitely all ages, which is sort of why we did this. We picked this one for us to do. I'm more on board with Kate. My favorite chapter is actually chapter 1. I think it is a phenomenal like setup to this world. That I think like generally I'm not huge on issue 1s because there's so much setup, but I thought this one really nailed the setup. I will say maybe my favorite scene is the giant scene. So I will agree with you guys on that. But overall, that issue I didn't think was quite as good as issue 1. I would probably go like 8.5 out of 10. So I'm kind of in between you. Kate, I think, liked it the most, but I'm real close to almost like the 9 out of 10 kind of thing. But I would definitely recommend this to everybody. I understand why this is one of the hottest things going right now in kind of the comic world. It's like a very popular series, and it's definitely moving forward. So with that, I think we're almost at the end of our hour. Do you guys have anything else? Cade, you're at 900. Do you want to say anything about your channel before we move forward?
I have a YouTube channel. It is called Burning Block About 99. Link in the beautiful description. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And basically, I make blogging videos, I make gaming videos, I make roleplay videos. It's pretty cool, and I put a lot of CGI and editing into it, and I'd like that effort to pay off, and it has so far. And I'm super grateful to be past 800 and I'm at 900 now, which is super cool. And yeah,
Nice.
and I'm super excited to keep going with this. And yeah, I'm really grateful. Yeah.
Awesome. That is so good. And yeah, the fact that you're so far along, your channel is awesome. You do a great job, Kate.
Thank you.
Congratulations on 900, and I'm sure you will be over 1,000 very soon.
Yeah.
So, girls, I know that you guys haven't done anything on your individual channels yet, but tell us about Crazy Click Radio, and then we'll ask you about what you guys do with your dad on Saturdays after that. So, tell us about Crazy Click Radio.
Well, it's kind of like a channel for just kids. The members are Rena, who's in the chat. We have Cade, and then me, Kate, and then Tacoma's child, Nathaniel. And it's kind of like a channel where we do a lot of different things: art, reading, more reading. And technically, we're sharing it between the 5 of us. So if any of us want to make videos, we'll record it and then we'll send it to Cade. And Cade will fix it up and then upload it. And I haven't checked, but I don't think we've uploaded any videos.
Not yet.
Yeah, Nathaniel has.
Nathaniel has?
And I'm planning one, yeah.
Okay.
I'm still thinking of one, but I don't have all the supplies.
Well, nice. All right. Well, Kate, I will let you handle what you guys do on Saturday mornings. You want to give a pitch for hanging out with you guys on Saturday mornings with your dad? Who's okay, I guess.
On Saturday mornings, we each take 3 books we've been looking at throughout the week, and we kind of do this, but I don't think we do it quite as long. More like 45 minutes instead of an hour. But so it's really fun. It's usually at 8 or 8:30 in the morning, and it's always on Saturdays. And it's usually the 3 of us, but sometimes Charlie likes to sleep in because she is one of those people. But I can
Saturdays are early. It's early.
It takes me so long to actually be able to sleep in.
Yeah.
And then by the time I actually can, school starts again.
It's so true. That's so true. But,
Yeah, sounds about right.
I can sleep, and it's like, oh wait,
oh, wait a second.
tomorrow's the first day of school.
Yeah. But so it's a lot of fun, and please join us. I think you guys will really enjoy it.
And tomorrow we have a special unboxing.
Oh,
Saturday.
Wait,
Tomorrow's
no.
Friday.
yeah, tomorrow's Friday, but on Saturday you guys have a special unboxing. Excellent. I will say it's my favorite Saturday morning watch, so I appreciate you guys always getting up, even if Charlie's sometimes still sleepy. So it's okay. So, hey, I'm sometimes still sleepy when I'm watching it. So there you go.
Us normal people need sleep.
There you go.
Well, I'm not normal, so I disqualify for that.
There you go. Well, on my channel, obviously, I do my look backs. Will be coming up Saturday. Probably not much else going on this weekend because I got some family stuff. Although I think we are still doing D&D on White Whale Comics channel on Sunday night. And then the next indie show, we are going back to East of West. We are doing volumes 4, 5, and 6, which make up year 2 of the apocalypse for East of West. So we will be doing that next Tuesday night. So if anybody wants to hop in and hear that discussion, it'll be myself, Hialeah Comic Bro, Bear Island Comics, and Comic Books NYC will be talking about East of West. I want to thank my awesome panel tonight. You guys did great. Thank you so much. And with that, we are going to get out of here. So thank you, everyone, for watching, and we will catch you next time.
The end.